May the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be accepted to themselves. Good morning. It's kind of interesting for a maritime historian to try to gather evidence, which I am doing this morning, but it's evidence of something that happened back in 1807. And it was a ship called the Topaz making its way from the New Zealand area out across the Pacific Ocean. And the captain of this vessel, Captain Mayhew Folger, was a kin of mine, so it's always fun to think about someone's experience. His experience was found in the logbook that he kept, and he said, this is 6 February, light airs in the east at 1:30, saw land bearing southwest to west, 1/2 west, steering for the land, the said lands being Pitcairn's Island, discovered in 1767 by Captain Carter Ray. At 2 a.m., the island bore south 2 leagues distance, lay off and on till daylight, and then put off with 2 boats to explore this supposedly not a town that is habited at all. In his whaleboat, Captain Folger looked at the massive rock that was Pitcairn Island. The smoke which had first caused him such surprise was rising almost straight column. Was it a signal for aid? All the information about Pitcairn, which had gleaned from charts, agreed on the fact that it was not inhabited. He looked again at the towering island, then noticed as he drew near that there were many groves of green with trees and coconut fronds occupying this interesting so-called inaccessible place. He turned to gaze at the rude canoe that approached with 3 occupants. Were these castaways from a shipwreck? They were dressed like natives, but there was something strikingly different from their features. As he met their own appraising glances, one of them called to him and said in the indistinctive English, a British English, "What ship is that? Where do you come from?" The question was given slowly, deliberately, as if by direction or memorizing. "Oh, it is the ship Topaz of the United States of America," was the reply. "And I am Mayhew Folger, her master, an American." "You are an American? You come from America? What is America? Is it in Ireland?" 5 years later, Captain Delano heard the story from his friend, and he repeats it. Captain Folger, thinking he should soon as make himself intelligible to them by sounding out their origin and country, he spoke in English. "Who are you?" They said, "We are Englishmen." "Where were you born?" Oh, on that island which you see." "How then are you Englishmen if you were born on that island, which the English do not own and never possessed?" "We are Englishmen because our father was an Englishman." "Who is your father?" With a very interesting simplicity, the answer came, "Alec." "Don't you know Alec?" "Well, Then do you know Captain Bligh of the Bounty? As this question, Folger told me, the whole story immediately burst upon his mind. Here it was, the place of mystery, that unknown spot where Christian and his companions had sailed the Bounty some 19 years before to Pitcairn, their island of destiny. All this time of meeting the three sons of the mutineers were regarded with a rapt curiosity, the first people from the outside world they had ever seen. Captain Folger never told of his innermost thoughts on this unprecedented occasion, that perhaps he was thinking of those nights on another island called Massafura, where he talked of this mystery to his close friend Ameza Delano. Perhaps their conversation of 8 years before returned to him, who had both suffered many varieties of hardship. So there we were, this interesting group of people, but they had founded, the youngsters had, after the demise of some of the people who were part of the horrible situation on this hideaway, and they'd formed a Christian community, a very, very strong Christian community, and that lasted to this very day. And finally, the captain writes, I went on shore and found there an Englishman by the name of Alexander Smith, the only person remaining out of 9 that escaped on board the ship Bounty. Captain Bligh, under the command of arch-mutineer Christian Smith, informed him that after putting Captain Bligh in a longboat, sending her adrift, their commander Christian proceeded to Otaheite, then to gather in others to help with the colony on the island of Pitcairn. So it's interesting. They formed a very, very close community, which to this day we correspond with. I know members of my family and so forth have for years. And of all of the gifts that Alex Smith gave to Captain Mayhew Folger was the chronometer. The chronometer that had been made in London by Larkham Kendall, 1771, and this instrument now resides in the observatory. If you ever go to London or to Greenwich, up to the wonderful observatory, working away every day is the Bounty chronometer. Really quite remarkable. I know that my own daughters, quite a few years ago, I brought up to Greenwich, and they were very, very happy to see something that was part of their own heritage, the heritage of family. My father received a nice letter and a check from the grandson of Mayhew Folger, who then at that time had become a rear admiral in the United States Navy. And he was upset because on Nantucket we have what's called the Isaac Coffin, well, it's a school. It was a school, and today is still a center of learning. But Mayhew Folger's grandson said, you know, if you're going to have an admiral, it should be a British admiral. So the Peter Folger Museum was then dedicated. So the story of the Bounty and its youngsters who came ashore, all of a sudden learn news of a new United States of America and of so many other wonderful things. But anyway, that's the story of the Bounty. Amen.